Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is June 11th. Be honest. How many times have you walked out to the garden today for no particular reason? Just to look, just to check, just to stand there for a moment and take it all in. This is what June does to us. It bewitches us, and we are powerless against it. Nathaniel Hawthorne knew this feeling well. In his essay, The Old Manse, he describes his joyful, intimate experience of gardening and cultivating vegetables while living in Concord, Massachusetts. Nathaniel wrote, "I used to visit and revisit it 12 times a day, and stand in deep contemplation over my vegetable progeny with a love that nobody could share or conceive of who had never taken part in the process of creation. It was one of the most bewitching sights in the world to observe a hill of beans thrusting aside the soil, or a row of early peas just peeping forth sufficiently to trace a line of delicate green." That's what happens in June. The garden stops being something you do and becomes something you think about constantly. While you're making dinner, while you're on a call, while you're lying in bed, running through everything that needs doing tomorrow. It takes over, and you let it. And isn't this what a love affair feels like? Consuming, joyful, a little ridiculous, and absolutely worth it. Hawthorne visited his garden 12 times a day. You probably do too. Not because there's always something to do, but because you can't stay away. And come next June, you'll be right back in the garden, bewitched all over again. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day in 1755 that the French botanist Jean-Louis Marie Poiret was born in Saint-Quentin, France. Jean began life as a clergyman before devoting himself to botany. By the time he was 30, Louis XVI sent Jean to North Africa to study the plants of the Barbary Coast, which is now northeastern Algeria. The ancients called the region Numidia. Jean expected a harsh landscape, sand, barrenness, and very little vegetation. But instead, he found green hills and wide plains, bright with flowers. From the moment he stepped ashore, Jean began collecting plants, but collecting was only the beginning. Jean was a taxonomist, and that meant he did more than gather specimens. He studied plants carefully, compared them to known species, and then gave them scientific names. Sometimes a name describes the plant. Sometimes it honors a person. And sometimes, as in the case of one of Jean's most famous discoveries, the name records where the plant was found. That plant was the Algerian iris, Iris unguicularis. For gardeners, the Algerian iris is one of winter's quiet miracles. Plant the rhizomes at the base of a sunny wall and give them time. It may take a few years, but eventually, in the dead of winter, sometimes as early as Christmas, delicate lavender blue flowers appear. The plant itself is hardy, but the flowers are not. Frost can damage them, and slugs often find them irresistible. Many gardeners cut the buds while they are still tightly furled and bring them indoors to watch them slowly open. When they do, the flowers release a sweet perfume that can fill a room. Jean loved plants like this, plants that rewarded patience and careful observation. Later in life, Jean worked on a massive botanical project called the Encyclopédie Méthodique. The project attempted to describe and organize all the known plants of the world. The work had been started by the French naturalist Lamarck, but Jean helped carry it forward. He wrote entries, described species, and helped expand the botanical record. Jean died in Paris in 1834 when he was 78 years old. And today, his name survives quietly in botany. You will see it after plant names. Just 4 letters, P-O-I-R, Poiret. A small signature left by the botanist who once stepped ashore in North Africa and immediately began gathering flowers. And it was on this day in 1936 that the Belgian-born priest and botanist, Father Julius Nieuwland, died in Washington, D.C. at 58 years old. Julius came to America as a toddler. His Flemish parents settled in South Bend, Indiana, in the shadow of the University of Notre Dame. As a boy in Indiana, Julius drew plants in careful detail, collected birds' eggs, and memorized the name of every wildflower in the fields around his home. When Julius enrolled at Notre Dame in 1895, botany felt less like a subject and more like a homecoming. When Julius graduated, he entered the priesthood with the Congregation of the Holy Cross, taking vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. His superiors recognized his gifts and sent him to Catholic University in Washington for his doctorate. In the lab one afternoon, an experiment went wrong. A compound Julius had created filled the room with a smell like garlic and geraniums, the signature of a deadly poison gas. Julius was hospitalized, and when he recovered, he set the compound aside and never pursued it again. But when Julius returned to Notre Dame in 1904, he came back as a professor of botany. He founded a journal, the American Midland Naturalist, to document the wildflowers, grasses, and sedges of the Indiana prairie, arguing that the plants beneath your feet were as worth knowing as any tropical orchid. In 1907, Julius wrote to his mentor, "I am doing my level best to build up a botanical library and have lost all interest in chemistry." But chemistry had not lost interest in Julius. Working late in his lab one evening in 1920, Julius polymerized acetylene into a strange rubbery resin, slick, elastic, unlike anything he had made before. Julius filed his notes and kept going. But when Julius presented his findings at a chemistry conference in Rochester, New York in 1925, a chemist from DuPont Company was in the room. DuPont spent the next 6 years turning Julius's reaction into neoprene, the first commercial synthetic rubber, a flexible, waterproof material that would one day line the boots and gloves, hoses and gaskets of workshops and gardens around the world. Although Julius had changed the material world, he held a vow of poverty. So when DuPont offered him $1,000 a year, Julius declined and asked for books for his chemistry department instead. In the end, the royalties, eventually totaling $2 million, went entirely to Notre Dame. Even after neoprene made his name, Julius never stopped botanizing. He kept a pistol in his car to shoot down high branches he couldn't reach without climbing in his long black priest's robe, And when he traveled with DuPont colleagues, they tried driving at 80 miles an hour so he couldn't spot roadside specimens. But he always spotted them anyway. And then they'd have to stop. Julius died of a heart attack on June 11th in 1936 in the Catholic University Laboratory in Washington, the same room where his chemistry work began. He left behind 50,000 specimens, including the wildflowers of Indiana, pressed and labeled in his own hand and kept safe in the dark. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear a verse from a song called To Celia by the English playwright and poet Ben Jonson, born on this day, June 11th, in 1572. Ben was Shakespeare's great rival and great friend, the other giant of the Jacobean stage. Sharp-tongued, enormously learned. Celia was not a real woman. Ben borrowed the name from classical tradition. Sharp-tongued, enormously learned. Celia was not a real woman. Ben borrowed the name from classical tradition to hold an ideal. But the feeling in the poem is entirely his own. Ben wrote, "Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine. Or leave a kiss but in the cup, and I'll not look for wine." But the poem doesn't stop there. Ben sent Celia a wreath of roses. She sent it back. Ben wrote, "I sent thee late a rosy wreath, not so much honoring thee as giving it a hope that there it could not withered be." Now that moment deserves a pause, because most people assume Ben simply gave Celia roses. But Ben does something unexpected here. Usually when someone sends flowers, the meaning is simple. These are for you, a gift, an honor. But Ben turns the idea inside out. Ben says he did not send the wreath to honor Celia. He sent it for the roses. Ben imagines that Celia is so alive, so full of something he cannot quite name, that if the roses could simply be near her, they might not die. He thought that just by being close to Celia's vitality, that the roses might stay vibrant forever. And there is something about that notion that has stayed with me long after I read it, and I have read this poem many times. But it's the roses that I keep thinking about, and how Ben was trying to preserve them. I sent thee late a rosy wreath, not so much honoring thee as giving it a hope that there it could not withered be. Ben died in London in 1637. He was buried upright in Westminster Abbey in a grave barely 18 inches square. His admirers carved a small inscription above him, "O rare Ben Jonson." It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Restoration Garden by Sarah Blades. We are still inside Garden Stories and Fiction Week here on The Daily Gardener, and this is where gardens become the setting for memory, mystery, love, and transformation. And today's pick brings us all four. If you love Kate Morton, the dual timelines, the English country estate, the family secrets buried under 100 years of brambles, then this novel is built for you. The story opens at Havenworth Manor, a once celebrated English garden that is now a wild snarl of weeds and brambles and forgotten beds. The owner of Havenworth is 92-year-old Margaret Clark, and before she dies, Margaret wants the garden restored, exactly as it once was, plant by plant. The trouble is, there are no photographs, no drawings, no records of any kind. Margaret hires a landscape architect named Julia Esdale to take it on, and Julia quickly realizes that the garden Margaret wants back is tied to a promise she made decades ago to her older half-sister Irene. The other half of the novel takes us back to 1940. Irene is a young woman at Havensworth, an aspiring artist with a sketchbook full of flower drawings, dreaming of a bigger world. When she falls in love with a handsome RAF officer named James, she follows him to London, into the war, into a choice she never expected to make, and out of her sister Margaret's life forever. What happened to Irene is the mystery at the heart of this book, and the only way to solve it is to restore the garden she once loved. Now, here's a little bit about the author. Sarah Blades is a Canadian novelist who lives in British Columbia with her husband, her 2 children, and what she happily describes as an overly anxious Boston Terrier. Sarah writes the kind of historical fiction where you can hear the wind moving through the old hedges, where the language of flowers carries quiet messages between characters, and where a garden turns out to hold every secret a family kept. Booklist gave this novel a starred review and recommended it for fans of Kate Morton, Beatrice Williams, and Lisa Wingate. This is a wonderful summer read, the kind of novel you bring to a porch swing or a hammock or a long afternoon in the shade. A garden full of secrets, a promise to a sister, and a 92-year-old woman who is determined to keep her word before the season ends. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1823 in Storuman, Sweden, that Johann Hermann Hufberg was born. His friends and family called him Hermann. Hermann grew up to be a physician and a librarian, a quiet, studious man who read everything and forgot nothing. But what captured him most was the old oral tradition of Sweden, the legends and folk stories passed down by word of mouth from village to village and generation to generation. In his lifetime, Hermann could see that those stories were disappearing. The people who remembered them were aging, and the world was modernizing. So he went out and chased them down, traveling through the countryside, sitting with elders, and writing everything down before it was lost. One of the stories he saved was this one, and it begins the way the best stories do, with 2 young people on opposite sides of a war. Arild was a Danish knight. Tale was a Swedish girl. They were in love. And then Denmark and Sweden declared war on each other. And Arild was captured and thrown into a Swedish prison. While he was there, a letter arrived from Tale. "My dearest Arild, I promise to wait for you forever, but I fear I will not be allowed to. My father has chosen another man to be my husband, and he has already set the marriage date. I will love you always, your faithful Tale." Now, Arild was not about to lose her, so he sent a letter of his own to King Eric of Sweden with a simple proposal. Release me long enough to go home, marry Talay, plant a crop, and harvest it. On his honor as a knight, he would return to prison the moment the harvest was gathered. The king agreed. Arild went home, and he married Talay. And in the spring, he went out to the fields, and he planted his crop, placing each seed 6 careful paces apart. When autumn came, the king sent a messenger to bring Arild back. But Arild looked up in surprise and said, "My crop is not yet harvested. Indeed, it has not even sprouted." The messenger stared at Arild, finally saying, "Not sprouted? What did you plant?" Arild answered, "Pine trees." When King Eric heard this, he made his judgment. A man like that does not deserve to be in prison, and Arild never spent another day behind bars. Now, if you have never stood beside a pine tree and thought about what it asks of time, let me tell you, a pine tree planted from seed takes 100 years to reach its full height. It is not a crop. It is a promise to the future. Its needles stay green through every winter, and its roots go deep before anything appears above ground. It asks almost nothing: poor soil, cold air, full sun, and it gives back shade and shelter and stillness to people who won't be born for generations. Arild knew exactly what he was planting. Every gardener is Arild. We plant for harvests we may never live to see. As we close the show today, remember, the garden is not asking for much. Just your mornings, your evenings, your idle thoughts in the middle of a meeting, and your last conscious moment before you fall asleep. That's all. And we generally give willingly, if not compulsively, when it comes to our gardens, the way we always do with the things we love most. And come next June, we'll be right back there, standing in the sunshine, checking on the kitchen garden, admiring the same peonies, harvesting that row of peas, and tracing a thin green line through the soil. Same time next year, still in love, still hopelessly and helplessly bewitched. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.